already to James, we are shining a spotlight on Representative Culberson.
Yeah.
Had this absent, negligent, bordering on catastrophic leadership from our congressman for over a decade now. So I am here helping shine a light on what he is already doing. Man, and I really don't have to work too hard. All it takes is a great big old point to get, the kinds of legislation and the kinds of behaviors that he thinks are an appropriate leadership of the 7th Congressional District. So, after I leave here, I am going to his town hall meeting, going with cameras in hand. We already have a little table set up, and we already have the press there, and we are going to remind him why he is in D.C. in the first place as a representative of us, of his constituents, and not of his own special interests.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions?
How do we get in?
How do you get in? Do you live in the 7th Congressional
I wish
District?
I did. Is there a back door?
No.
Unfortunately not.
What a shame.
I
I'm
know,
good at
and
sneaking
he
in.
is checking IDs at the door.
We have one then that can get in.
Okay, so checking IDs, you can get in, but the rest of us, I can't get in because I live in Midtown. Yep, you're in. Are you in?
If you guys have questions, you can give them to me, and I'll write them in.
Thank you. For those of us who can't get in, like myself, we will be standing out front talking to the folks that he has not allowed to get in to this, and be a presence and a visual reminder on the outside.
Now, I understand it's a 700-seat auditorium. At what point do you expect it will be full?
Soon. He's opening the doors at 1:30. We expect there to be a line. James is sending out updates. So. If you're in district, after this meeting, I'm going directly there from this meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
What? I couldn't hear.
Make a comment that public transportation is a charity. Is that correct?
Public transportation is a charity, quote Culberson.
Culberson voted to put in transportation legislation to kill the university line that would have gone from potentially from A-Leaf to UH, which would have been the major east-west line for Metro Rail, which means there's no connecting from, they're all north-south. So, and what
That's
would
the Cougars now, man.
Right.
That's the Parkers.
But that would have been, if you look at Metro's long-term plans, that was the major east-west line that would have brought in a lot of students from the west side and relieved traffic off of West Park Toll Road and off of Katy Freeway. So, and he is proud of that legislation that killed that.
John Culberson does not believe in public transportation, and his behavior has indicated that over and over again. If you're old enough to remember, in Houston in prior to 1978, there was no publicly owned public transportation in Houston. There was a company called Hugh-Tran that ran broken down buses. It was a disaster. And it was in 1978 that the voters voted in the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. John Culberson would like to take us back to the days of Hugh-Tran and broken down buses. Been there, done that, it doesn't work. Just like before Medicare, old people couldn't get insurance. They want to take us back to that.
Yeah.
We're not going back.
Amen. Ooh.
And this is crazy. Do you guys have signs, or should we bring our own signs?
We have postboard, we have markers, so you can make a sign. If you have one already in the car, and I carry one around in the car for all occasions.
Yeah.
Always prepared. If you have your own, you want to bring it, welcome, but we should have postboard and markers there.
Who hands out the pitchforks?
There was a rumor going around that Culberson had, a pure rumor, right?
Okay.
That Culberson was hosting a private event in the same location today at 12
Yes.
Not
Yes.
the sea.
to fill the sea.
Yeah.
Yes, we have, and that is why we had people out there at 10 o'clock this morning, posted at all of the entrances. We went through and we took a look at the area, took a look at all of the entrances to see, if anybody tries to sneak in the back way, that we can catch it on film and then we can amplify that. Good job. Yep. Anyone else?
Yeah, one more question. I'm sorry, Katy. Besides Culberson, is there anyone else that the Democratic Party is targeting, in Harris County at this point?
In Harris County, not right now. There are 2 more in Texas. Pete Sessions in Dallas, and his area is like Saxe, Wiley, Garland, and Will Hurd, who's gotten a lot sweeter since recent things have come up. And he is San Antonio all the way to like the suburbs of El Paso. Does that make sense?
What about Ted Cruz? You got to be targeting him.
On the congressional level, we're not. That's senatorial. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Recap what I am doing. I am here amplifying all of the things that Representative Culberson has done. All of this messaging will then be packaged and given to whichever candidate comes out of the primary, so they've got all of their messaging already set up and already taken care of, so we can make it easy for the candidate to then come in and just flatten the guy in an enormous race. And we already have the groundwork laid for it. CD7 went for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So this groundwork's already laid.
I know of 2 candidates who are already declared. Do you know of others?
There are 4 total who are declaring.
Okay.
I wish them all the best of luck. We're just gonna wait and see.
Is there a
It's a long time
centralized
out.
place to go find out where they're going to be to get to know them, or do you just have to go to each individual website?
It's each individual website.
They should be reporting to the county chair for the blue report that comes out that Eric is compiling all of the events that are coming out. So sign up for we were going to do that later. Hold on that thought. So.
Okay.
But Indivisible is having a town hall with all 4 candidates, I believe. Is that correct?
That's part of Mars.
In May.
In May.
The district contingent set that up, and we'll be having all kinds of people come on in. So it'll be in May. And if you want to trace, let me know some of this.
I'm just starting to listen.
All right, there you go.
Hey, I saw an email, speaking of Indivisible, from the Republican Party that they're raising money because of you. So that's awesome. All right, and they're raising the money, saying that the Indivisible group is an organization that's activating people since the election, and they need to stop Indivisible. And that's one reason why we need to keep supporting Indivisible and join their groups and support Michael and help him with his functions and really stay engaged. Just because that healthcare was defeated yesterday, the insurance companies are going to work to continue to destroy it. We need single payer insurance, and we need to fight for
Quick,
that.
that's Daniel. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
I know it's Daniel, but it goes by Michael.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Katy.
for everyone else.
Our next speaker, and I'm going to put the microphone up unless someone really needs it, because I think the rest of our speakers have pretty good voices. We're very, very lucky today. We have our newly elected Harris County Democratic Party chair joining us. Very brief bio, Lillie Schechter is a political strategist and a fundraiser who has been advising local and national Democratic candidates and organizations for nearly a decade. Lillie has worked closely with the party to help find, promote, and elect the best candidates for Harris County and the city of Houston, and I don't have my glasses, and to grow the Democratic Party's base in Harris County. This year, Lillie is excited to have the opportunity to bring her passion, dedication, and deep knowledge of the country's political landscape directly to the party as the Harris County Democratic Party chair. Please join me in welcoming Lillie. Thank you, guys. I'm just going to give you a quick update on everything that's going on at the local Democratic Party because I'm so excited on all the activities that we're doing. I got back from D.C. I went to a conference in D.C. the last couple of days, and everyone there is talking about Harris County because everyone sees how successful we were in 2016. So they're looking at Harris County saying, what did they do there? How did they do that? What are we going to do to duplicate that all over the United States? Let's take a deeper look and see about the coalitions that they're building in Harris County and the great work that they're doing. So that's super exciting. The Harris County Democratic Party, Katy office is out of our office. We are creating a campaign team at the local party. It's super exciting. We have Battleground Texas officing out of our office, as well as Katy and James who are doing organizing there, and also Greater Houston area Democrats, so that we are all in the same office talking about activities and really working together and saying, okay, what are we going to do next? Yesterday we were actually supposed to protest Greg Abbott when he was in town, but they rescheduled it. But it was exciting because we were building a protest. We were able to get permits right in front of the Hilton. We will be recreating that event when they come back in April. So we have a great energy and synergy that's happening in the office. Our website is harrisdemocrats.com. I hope that everyone will go up and sign up for our newsletter, because every Monday we're sending out an email list that not only talks about the activities that we're doing in the county, but also activities that are happening all around the county and the separate area, surrounding counties. We highlight activities that Indivisible is doing, Pantsuit Republic. We are trying to create a progressive newsletter so that you don't have to go to 20 different websites to find things. You can actually have it all in one place. So if you go to harrisdemocrats.com, I highly recommend you sign up for that. This coming weekend, actually today, we are phone banking at the local party office. We are phone banking for the Pasadena city elections. Last Saturday, we made 1,300 calls trying to get out Democrats to vote in the Pasadena city elections. Today, from 12 to 3, we're also at the office making calls into Pasadena for their city elections, which are May 6th. So I hope anybody who has a couple, 3 minutes today, you can stop by the party office and make some phone calls so we can encourage Democrats in Pasadena to come out and vote on May 6th. The other thing we're working on next weekend, it's really exciting. We haven't actually announced it yet, but Michael Blake from the DNC will be here on Sunday. So we're going to be doing an event with him Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. The location should be in our newsletter because we haven't finalized it yet. The other thing that This is not tomorrow, but
next Sunday.
okay.
Next Sunday. So next Sunday at 2 p.m., Michael Blake from the DNC will be in town. I am also working on Saturday, if you come by our office and you want to do some phone banking for sustaining members, because we are trying to grow our sustaining membership. I think Tom Perez is going to stop by our office on Saturday. So we will let you guys know if that's going to happen for sure. We're trying to get these organized. It's very exciting that people are focused on Harris County, but it also means we have to build a lot of events and create things for them to come to. So next weekend should be an exciting weekend. At the party office, we're doing phone banking pretty much every day to build our sustaining membership. When I was elected, Adrian has forms if you'd like to become a sustaining member. The forms are right back there. When I got elected 2 weeks ago to party chair, I learned what we had in the bank. And I learned that we had enough money to keep the office open for 2 months. So we are doing sustaining membership drives every day. When I started, we had 407 sustaining members. We now have around 530 sustaining members. So our goal is to get to 1,000 sustaining members by beginning of April. So that's really exciting. So
when people ask us, well, why are you doing fundraising? It's because we have to pay for our overhead. The office that we are maintaining and that we are opening for everyone to come in and use for meetings is an office that we have to pay for. So that's why sustaining membership, you'll hear it coming out of the office a lot, because we have to be able to pay the staff that's there, pay the rent, pay the lights, things like that. So we have a lot of exciting activities at the party. We've talked about this a lot, but what we did in Harris County in 2016 was incredible. We won by the largest margin since LBJ in Harris County.
All right.
But we also know that Republicans are watching what we're doing. You mentioned that the Republican Party emailed about Indivisible. They emailed about the activities that we're doing also, because they are looking on the news at the newsletter. They're getting our newsletter saying, "Oh my God, they're actually really energized and working." So we are going to have to work even harder, because they're going to double down with the 2018 elections, and we're going to have to triple down. So I encourage everyone to get the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter is the first action that you can do. Come in for phone banks. We're going to be doing different town halls and things. So we'll be announcing them weekly. So I hope you will go to harrisdemocrats.com and sign up. Does anybody have any questions about anything going on with the party? Yes, ma'am.
Who is crafting the message?
That is a great question. At the conference I was in D.C., the entire conversation kind of revolves around what is the message of the Democratic Party. Right now, we are not necessarily focused on crafting that message. We're kind of waiting to see what the DNC and other things are doing. What we're focused on is the activities that we are doing in the office, and focusing on the message of getting more Democrats engaged in the electoral process. So the crafting the whole message, sign up for our newsletters, it will come out.
It's an awesome newsletter.
Yeah.
Just
Our wonderful volunteer, Eric Manning, has very generously volunteered his services to help us with the newsletter, which is why it got really amazing really quickly.
just for people who are going to hear about this a little later, could you define what a sustaining member is?
Oh, great question. So a sustaining member of the Democratic Party is someone that gives either $10 a month every month, or gives $120 every year.
How many are sustaining members here already?
530. So visit harrisdemocrats.com, or if you don't want to go on the internet, we have forms in the back. I hope you will become a sustaining member of the Democratic Party.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Lillie, Christian, good to see you again.
Hey, how are you? Have you
good.
decided what office you're running for yet?
I'm just around for right now. I have a quick question for you. So when the DNC had their candidates forum at Texas Southern University, and Michael Blake was one of the individuals who was elected as vice chair, one of the major discussions was surrounding the disconnect between local parties and the national party. Since Tom Perez has won, Keith Ellison has been named deputy chair, have you seen kind of an initiative towards creating a link between local parties and the national party?
I think the fact that they're both here next weekend is the first indication that they're trying to build the relationship.
Yes.
So, I just want to put in a plug for precinct chairs, because I know there are a lot of vacancies still.
Yep.
I've been working with Susan Haynes, who's the vacancy.
Could you,
And you have to live in a precinct to be the chair, but you can be a captain in a precinct that doesn't have one, and you get the database, and you get to make the calls to kind of try to look for a chair. So we have a lot of vacancies still.
No, so it's really exciting. We actually just hit the 50% mark. So we actually have 50% of our precinct chairs filled at this point, but we just hit the 50% mark 2 weeks ago. So we are trying to make the system easier. Right now it's a little bit cumbersome when you go to the website to figure out who your precinct chair is and what precinct you live in and if it's vacant or not. So we are working with website people to make it a one-click operation. So we are working on that.
With that link to the DNC and the financial situation, are they calling money for this Culberson?
So the money that is coming in for Culberson is paid for by the DCCC through TDP. It is not from the DNC right now. That is a question I will ask when they're here next weekend.
You gotta go after that guy.
I have
He made it into me.
follow up on national policy, I think that a very important issue has to be addressed by the Democratic National Committee, because I don't think that the failure to elect a Democrat to the White House is the fault of the Russians. I think that there was a failure on the part of the Democratic National Committee to appeal to and represent all of the base of the Democratic Party, and that there's a lot of blue-collar Democrats in Wisconsin and Michigan and all those other places who went out and voted for Trump. And we have to, if we're going to have a unified party, we have to offer an economic development policy where we are standing firm against free trade, like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and that we stand up for things like restoring Glass-Steagall standards to separate commercial banks from the investment banks. Because right now there's trillions and trillions of dollars of outstanding derivatives that are held by these banks. And if that triggers a financial collapse, that ruins everybody's deposits.
So I would make a recommendation to you, and I would ask that you come next weekend and talk to the DNC chair and vice chair about it, and voice your concerns with them.
It would be my pleasure.
Any other questions? So what we're hoping to do, and we'll have all this locked down by Monday. My hope is that we will be doing the event for Michael Blake at IBEW right next to the party office. I just gotta, get with them on the exact details of what that's gonna look like. And then Tom Perez, my hope is that he's gonna come by our office while we're doing a sustaining membership drive, and actually come by the party office. So I'll be able to announce both of these on Monday.
So that's supposed to be Saturday the 1st?
Saturday the 1st and Sunday the 2nd.
Okay. Since the SDC meets in Austin on Saturday, I thought he was going to be in Austin.
I think he's in Texas doing a Texas swing. I just happened to find out that he was going to be in Houston for like 2 hours, and I'm asking for 30 minutes of his 2 hours.
Great.
And that's open to the public?
Yes. I am going to ask you guys that when you come by and see Chairman Perez, you're also going to make a few phone calls or become sustaining members of the party. Any other questions?
Could you tell us again the time and place?
No, ma'am, because I'm going to announce them officially on Monday.
Oh, okay.
So if you sign up for our Blue Report on harrisdemocrats.com, it should be announced in that on Monday. And we'll have all the details there.
Blue Report on
Blue
harrisdemocrats.com.
harrisdemocrats.com. Thank you, guys. It's amazing to see so many people out this morning. Oh, one more question.
What's the address of the local place? Is it over on Northwest Loop?
It is. It's 1445 North Loop West, Suite 110.
That sounds familiar.
Thank you, guys. I hope you will. My email is Lillie@harrisdemocrats.com. If you have any questions, please email me. Let me know your thoughts. I really love you guys to all become sustaining members of the local Democratic Party, because this is how we keep our party office open. And come and join us for all the events, the exciting events that we're working on, including phone banking today.
Spell Lillie.
Lillie, Lillie.
There you go.
Right there. All right, moving forward, our next speaker is the founder of Houston Indivisible, Daniel Cohen. Daniel is a DC-educated small business owner who specializes in building organizations and communicating with others. He cares deeply about this country and sees the Bill of Rights as the ultimate check on government power. He also believes there is a fight for the soul of America, and that fight is now.
I'm going to take this as an opportunity to get over my addiction to using amplified devices and just follow in the footsteps. I am Daniel Cohen. I'm founder of Indivisible Houston. Just so we can kind of get a pulse on where we all are. Who's heard of Indivisible before today? All right. Who feels like they have a really good grip on what it is? Okay, so like half the room. Okay, all right. So I'll give you the skinny on it, if you will, or the short version of it at least. An Indivisible guide was written by 2 former congressional staffers in Lloyd Doggett's office because they were upset about the outcome of the November 2016 elections. And they had been on the other side of the desk when the Tea Party had rushed these offices. And so they put this guide together and said, hey, guess what? You can do the same thing except for the other side. So they put out a tactical guide, and it was focused on 4 tactics and applying local defensive pressure to your politicians. John Culberson. Going around. You can focus on town halls, such as the one that's happening at Spring Branch Middle today at 3 o'clock. If you're a constituent, you can go, and if you're not a constituent, you can go outside and rally, as previously mentioned. You can focus on non-town hall events, such as ribbon cuttings, by not giving them an opportunity to smile in front of a public school while they pull funding away from the same public school. You can focus on sit-ins by going down to their congressional offices and perhaps getting booted out of their congressional office, as some of our members, Pantsuit members and Women and Allies members, and also just any other constituents were booted out of Ted Cruz's office in January. And you can focus on phone rallies, which means that you slam phone lines and let your congressional representatives know that you are against a specific piece of legislation. For example, that piece of trash healthcare bill that just died a well-deserved death. This is an open source guide, so it can then be used for any kind of tactical advance, and you can evolve the goals that surround it. But as always, the spirit of it is local defensive pressure, to be a cavalry that slows down bad things that are happening in government. As you all might have seen, it caught energy in a bottle in January when the first version of the Muslim ban came down the pipeline. And people all across the United States jammed airports from elbow to elbow, including in Houston at IAH. There's never been 1,500 people at IAH before, but there was that day, because there were people on the other side of that wall who had been detained, even though they had documents that said the Bill of Rights is enumerated to you, they were still detained. It's un-American, it's unpatriotic, and it's pathetic. And so Houstonians jammed that airport, and they yelled, "None of us are free until all of us are free." That's how you stand up for your rights. If you exercise them, then you get to keep them. Now, they didn't let everybody free that day. Immigration attorneys worked around the clock to make sure that eventually people were let out of that airport. But what did happen starting that day was public opinion began to swing in the United States of America. It was 55-45 in favor of that terrible, disgusting piece of trash executive order. And 1 week later, it had inverted, and it was 55-45 against that terrible, disgusting piece of trash executive order.
20-point swing.
What that means is when you stand up and fight back, you change the mindset, you change the psychology of America. This is a country, this is a great democratic experiment, which is if we exercise these rights, if we exercise the Bill of Rights, if we exercise fundamental American institutions, if we reinvigorate the social fabric, will it defend itself? Early results look good. But we have to keep up the pressure over time. We have to sustain this. We have to continue to fight at a local, state, and federal level. Because there's Republican leadership who wouldn't blink to take away another right every single day at this point. They are repo men, they are autocrats, and they are thugs. And that is the appropriate term for them. I do not speak down to voters. I do not speak down to citizens. But when a crooked leader wants to take away my mom's health care, when a crooked leader denies books to kids in schools or puts racist trash in textbooks, when a crooked leader takes food out of people's mouths, I will call them a donor-class thug. And if they don't like it, then they need to remember that the First Amendment protects me saying that, and that they did all of those terrible things. And if they'd like to come to the table like adults and have an honest conversation, then I'm happy to do that. But I'm not going to apologize for using that kind of language. I want to make that perfectly clear because that's how I see it. When somebody has been in Congress for 9 terms and does absolutely nothing for the constituents of his district, when somebody rips away NASA funding and then pretends to be in favor of NASA funding, when someone believes in fake science because they don't want to listen to climate and meteorologist experts, when somebody wants to take away health care from all of us, when asked about possible collusion in elections, and the fundamental underlying piece of our fabric in our system to actually choose our own voters, decides to change the subject over to the IT software, which you can't even describe, in the Democratic National Committee, and wants to change the subject over to, hacking voting machines or things like this, when somebody is giving you flack and is not answering your questions and is not representing you, they deserve to be kicked out of office. And finally, people are doing that. It's been way too long. These leaders have been way too bad. There are too many people who've been doing this. And people are standing up and fighting back in the United States. And that's what the movement's about. I'm ready to take questions.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, I don't know what the latest status is of the bills that were pushed since 9/11, the Patriot Act and the spying on Americans by the NSA. Could you address that?
I mean, in terms of being a policy expert on what's going on with the Patriot Act, I would be lying to you if I said, yes, I'm totally in the loop on that. Here's what I will say. I was against the Patriot Act the second that it came out. I was in college in D.C. at the time that it happened. I was against the Iraq War at the same time that came out a little bit later. I think that I personally feel like there were fundamental issues in terms of those policies. And yeah, we should be fighting back. But right now, to tell you the honest truth, I feel like there's a hurry-up offense on every single front. They want to deport my friends over here. They want to ban them from the country over here. They're taking away health care over here. The kids don't have education over here. We have impending climate doom, and they don't want to do anything about that. And we have terrible infrastructure problems, and bridges are collapsing. And people are out of work. So that's a totally important concern, but honestly, sometimes when I think about this, I don't know where to start. But what I do know is that America likes it when you fight, and right now there's a fight to be had. And it's not just a fight because we're trying to win it, but it's a fight that needs to be fought. It's a fight that needs to be fought right now. We can subsidize a statue that's dedicated to taking care of people, but we can't subsidize the people the statue talks about.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to fight.
Just quick, most of the surveillance intelligence legislation will be up for renewal in September and October this year.
I just want to add really quick. When I was in D.C., we had breakfast with Cecile Richards, who's the president of Planned Parenthood nationally, and Cecile said something that I really want everyone to remember and to remind everyone. She says the phone calls that are happening, while you may not be getting through, while you may be leaving messages, the emails that are happening, it matters because the Republican members are hearing 2,000 to 1 from us versus them. And I don't want to polarize it, but it is a very polarizing situation. So when she said that and said that is affecting members of Congress, so I want to tell everyone, keep making those phone calls, keep harassing them, keep protesting, keep going to events and being loud and proud, because it is, even if we don't feel like we're getting through, they are hearing what's happening.
Agreed.
To piggyback off that, yesterday, the reason the bill got pulled was because the Republican chairman of the GOP chairman of the Appropriations Committee came out and said he was not going to support that. And if you know anything about Congress, for a chairman of a committee to go against the speaker is absolutely unheard of. So the pressure that the moderates put on to that chairman is the reason that bill got pulled. They were going to lose in a landslide.
I mentioned this to a few people, including Daniel. I had the television on this morning. It was on MSNBC. There was a panel on there, and they were talking about why the bill was pulled, the mistakes that Trump made, the mistakes that Paul Ryan made, et cetera, et cetera. One of the members of the panel on there was Howard Dean. Howard Dean said, make no mistake about it, the reason that the legislation failed was Indivisible and the grassroots act. It works.
Yes.
He knows something about the grassroots out here.
So do you guys have, obviously, it hasn't been to yet. You have a website, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't been there yet. Do you have policy positions?
That's a great question. Not on specific planks. I'll tell you what we're working on right now, though, and maybe it's to give you a lay of where the organization is, right? Indivisible Houston is one of the many grassroots indivisible groups that pops up across the United States. We work in collaboration with other indivisible groups. For example, Indivisible Texas District 7. There's a specific contingent. Some of our members cross over there as well, but there's also this, it's decentralized in some sense because they are kind of, working with the district, right, or focusing on the district. I happen to be in District 7 too, so it's personal for me, in addition to helping them with any resources that we can put together. We have our third general meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock at the Montrose Center. I'll say that again. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Montrose Center. Yeah, just so in case anybody wants to come.
Address Montrose Center.
With that?
Where's Montrose?
It's on Brainerd. Yes.
432 or 423, I'm dyslexic. One of those.
It's over in Montrose, or right outside downtown.
This is a general membership meeting.
This is a general membership meeting, but here's what we're going to do tomorrow. Of Indivisible Houston. What we're going to do tomorrow by request of people who are attending the meeting, our general members, is we're talking about our structure to make it clear to them sort of what that looks like. Talk about the long-term, short-term, and medium-term goals of the organization. We're also discussing how people can get immediately involved in our committees, which are already off the ground. And also we're going to be talking about the May elections a little bit because people requested information on it.
401 Brainerd.
401 Brainerd.
Yes, sir.
I had a question. Maybe Ms. Jewett can address this, or yourself, regarding the town hall meeting today. So if you read the fine print on Culverson's website about so-called prohibited items and signs, et cetera, that seems to be, some of that is a free speech impingement. So I'm assuming there will be someone who is more expert in addressing that situation, if it comes up.
Yes, I have something to say on it, but I'd like to, I think, Katy, if you want to answer the question.
So, as with all things, there is a workaround. At our little table, we have tape, and it's going to be green tape on one hand, red tape on the other hand.
Nice.
Do you agree with them? Red tape, right up there. We also have little stickers that you can hold up on your phone. They're pictures, and they say things like disagree, or resist, or agree. If you happen to agree with some of the stuff he says. I mean, I haven't agreed yet, but
I bet he's going to say Houston's a great city.
Or as you said before, we have the greatest health care in the world.
disagree. There we go. I'm sorry, I just carry
It's a private event, so they get to set the rules for it.
I just want to quickly maybe just, the only thing I want to say is that on that is that the Republican Party, as presently constituted, particularly the Republican Party leadership, hates the First Amendment, hates free speech. You don't let anybody try to tell you that you're the ones that are impinging on free speech. Every time they put a media source directly in the White House, the right-hand man of 45 right into the White House, and then they put all their little donor class media thug crook, hypnotic, Svengali types, Alex Jones and conspiracy theorists. They give them press passes, and then they shut everybody else out, and they say that they're for an independent press. You're the defendants of the First Amendment. Don't ever forget it. You defend it, not them. And this is another example of that. He's just trying to squelch free speech.
Amen.
Other questions? Okay, I'd just like to say one quick thing as well, and this is something that it needs to be reinforced, because there are things that ring in my ear and it particularly happens the grassroots has risen up. Some of the people I've met in the last few months have been some of my favorite people I've ever met, because they're doing such an amazing thing right now. But something that I don't like quite as much that rings in my ears sometimes is when people say that Houston's not an organizing city. I see why people say that, because we have communication and transit issues and gaps that we need to overcome, and most of the time in Houston we're sitting in rooms like this having conversations like this in terms of my background, where I grew up. I grew up in Southwest Houston, I grew up around here, I grew up in Meyerland, and that's the way that people communicate. But the fact is, the only way that Houston is not an organizing city is if you discount the black community, the Hispanic community, the Muslim community, the immigrant community, moms, and a whole variety of other audiences. I want you to know that people have been pounding the pavement for a really long time in this city. And they've been standing up for their rights, and they've been fighting back for a very long time. People were beat back onto sidewalks with billy clubs not that long ago in Houston, Texas, and they are the reason that you have some of the rights that you have in this city right now. So I want to honor those communities, and I just wanted to put that out there while I had an opportunity to say, if you hear somebody say that Houston's not an organizing city, you tell them that that's not the case, and that others have been organizing for a really long time, and that we need to honor the tradition of those who have been organizing in the city for a really long time. And if you want to honor that a little bit more, leave your own community and make sure to put your feet on the ground in other places. There were 2,500 people at Day Without Immigrants earlier this year in Southeast Houston. Is anybody there? A few of us. Now, I'm not telling you that because I'm trying to hold it against you. I'm just saying Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Connect as an inclusive coalition against tyranny. Because right now, this is the most diversity in the United States. The eyes of the nation are on us right now. They want to see what we're going to do. And we're sending a good message that we're going to rumble red turf and we're going to stand up and fight back. But it's early on in the fight. So make sure that you show up. Make sure you get involved in those things. Make sure that you're connecting outside of your communities. Because we can win this. We have an entire base. We know that we're the majority of this country. And I think that we have a lot of fights that we can win in front of us. But make sure to honor the traditions of those who have been fighting for a long time, because that's the only way a coalition is going to come together. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and listen.
Because are you taking the book with you?
Oh, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
If
you want to leave the sheet,
yeah,
make sure it gets back to you.
Okay.
All right, sure. Again, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Kay. Katy. Thank you, Lillie. Appreciate you all coming to speak to us today, and I do hope you all come back. So what do you think, group? Is this a good group of speakers? Now, I do want to fit one other person in, and actually just walk back in. Mr. Laster. No pressure. So before, I know our council member, Mike Laster, is also here today, and he's set to get out of here by 11:30. And we'll ask him to come up and speak very briefly about some of the work that's going on with the pension plan, since it's hitting the news. If you could come and talk to us just a little bit about what's going on with Mayor Turner's pension plan and the activity going on in Austin this week and the testimony that's being given on Monday.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's try that one more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we got to drown them out in there. They got more energy in there than they got in here.
No, they're just
I tell you, if you can't be fired up after that young man's speech, you can't be fired up, right? Thank you for all that he's doing. Listen, I had no plans to come up here and say anything to you this morning other than to say good morning and glad that you're out here today. So Carolyn comes over to me a minute ago and says, "Can you talk about the pensions?" Well, that's like talking about rebuilding an engine. And the good news,